to my heartbeats.
This episode brought to you in part by Nightclub Bar Show.
Here we are at another episode of On Foodable Weekly here at the Nightclub Bar Show in Las Vegas. And this is going to be kind of a fun episode, I think. We'll get a chance to talk to some real pros in the bar business from kind of all walks of the game. You know, we've got a mixologist, a bar expert, a chef over here. So you guys are kind of the team behind the team of Bar Rescue. But what I want to do is pick your brain a little bit on kind of the inner workings of successful bar business, okay? Fine. Nick, let's start out with you, because you bring the food side,
correct?
To this. What's your background? How'd you get involved in this first, and then where do you see things going?
Oh, you know, I've been cooking since I was a little kid. I grew up in an Italian family in Philadelphia, and I've worked my way up through the business. I started working with a number of great chefs, got super inspired, done a lot of traveling all throughout the world, and have just applied that to my everyday thing until where I'm at today, where I own my own restaurant. I run my own catering business. I'm part of this amazing team on Bar Rescue, where we're able to impact the entire country and save people that are within weeks of failing bars. Just so much deeper than creating cocktails and creating food. We're actually changing lives with the show that we've been involved with. So it's very dear to Phil, Mia, and myself.
So Mia, you're kind of the mixology master here. Your theme behind what you're doing today. Where's your career going?
Wow. Well, I have 5 years experience at the Soho House in West Hollywood. That's where I'm currently bartending.
All right.
I've opened 2 other properties with this company. It is a corporation that is global. I've opened the Soho Beach House in South Beach, Miami, and the International House in Canada, the Soho Toronto House. I train their bar staffs. The company sends existing employees to help establish a new club with the same sort of feel from other clubs. So we go and kind of invigorate and incorporate the vibe that already exists within the company and bring that energy to the new staff. Phil and myself have both worked extensively in the craft cocktail movement, which has really flourished within the past 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, so your background, how'd you fall into this mess?
Yeah, I mean, you call it a mess, but it's a beautiful mess. You know
I love it, right? That's the kind art, right?
Exactly. I mean, I've been doing bartending for about 15 years now in the industry. Started off with your corporate bars, your big, massive chains, which I really appreciate now that I'm not with them, because I understand the foundation that they built for me.
Yeah.
They built a really strong foundation, standard operating procedures, which we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
If I grew up in a dive bar or a bar that didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have gained that knowledge or gained those skills. But when I left the corporation and started doing individually owned bars, I could physically see how bad they were, how bad it is when you don't have a standard operating procedure, when you're not building the bar's foundation to grow off of, which made me want to do a lot more for the different places that I worked for, which helped me to develop my skills. And again, I've been doing this for 15 years. Every single day I learn something brand new. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you're not the best at it, ever. There's not a master in anything. Yeah. But you continuously grow and you do better. If you know better, you do better and you be better. That's what I always say.
So you guys, of course, get a chance to really kind of be the brain trust, working with John and kind of the whole flow of the show. I mean, you got to be running in some really struggling operations, which it seems to be more and more of that going, because the bar business now is so hot. So there's a lot of guys, kind of like the restaurant business, you know, there's so many failures. You know, what are you guys seeing out there? We'll start with you. What are you seeing out there when you guys do step into a challenge? What's the first thing you try to look for?
You know, I think the first thing that I personally try to look for is what is going to reflect on the environment. What's going to be the most positive thing that's going to initially drive the most positivity towards their demographic? Is what's going to work there? What's going to sell? I mean, what I've always been involved with Michelin star restaurants, a very high-end catering business and that kind of stuff, but I really got to dumb down some of the things that I've done in my life, because what we've all done and what John has really brought us across the country is we've got to set these places up for success and not failure. So we can't go too high. We got to go with what they can handle, because we're on the ground for a week in these places, and we have a limited amount of time to spend with these people. Some are very open, some are a little bit more closed off. But like Phil was just saying, the worst, I think the poison for anyone, whatever industry you're in, is having an ego and feeling like you know enough, or you don't need to learn that much more. I mean, you never are done learning enough. I can learn something about food from just about everyone, you know, because if you have that ego where you don't feel like you learn anything, you're never going to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mia, what do you look for when you walk into one of these operations?
I mean, here's the thing, like Nick just said, these places that we go into with the show are weeks, months out from closing.
Yeah.
They are all actually failing. So what I find so special and so relatable about the show is what John does when he walks in. The way that he very quickly is able to sum up and evaluate what is happening behind the business.
Yeah.
There is definitely a personal connection, most often that is the downfall of the business, more so than the execution of the breakdown of the standards of operating procedures or the execution in practice in the day-to-night service. It's usually a family element or an argument between owners or something. And John has a way of going into an establishment and really hitting the root of the problem on a personal level, healing that first, and that sets off an electric energy that thrives these people to want to succeed at their business again. He reminds them of why they started the business in the first place, and that energy is, he sparks that, and that's what makes our jobs a little bit easier.
Sure. Yeah. Phil, what's one of the biggest challenges that you've faced when you kind of coming in these? Because you guys you're like combat troops. You know, you got to land in SEAL Team 6 here.
We go in like a SWAT team, just clean house. I mean, all of these bars are failing, just like we talked about, and they're in a dire need for some sort of help. But it's funny because all of these bars that I've been a part of, and I'm sure you guys as well, there's very similar things that are falling apart within that bar. And I've talked about this before, but there's no foundation. There's no foundation for people to grow off of. So the first thing I look at is I look at their foundation. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here exactly? You know what I mean? Is there a passion for your business? Is there a passion for you? And if you do have that passion, you have to put it into a practice.
Right.
You know? So you take that passion, you put it into a practice, and then it becomes a purpose. And then you can move forward and you can be successful. So the problem with going into these bars, some people just don't have that passion. And what John does very well, and I've learned a lot from him, is looking at the behavior of the people. Looking at the behavior of the owners, the bartenders, the staff, and being able to dissect who they are, what they're doing before you even go in and shake their hands. Right. You kind of understand, you know, we do a lot of recon that day of, where we sit in the SUV and we're sitting there and we're watching, you know, these people work or pretend like they're working or, you know, operate something, you know? So we kind of nail in on some behavioral aspects, and it helps out a lot when we go through the remodel and we're doing the training piece of it, because then I know what I need to do with each individual person, what skill set they have, and how to elevate them to the next level, and also how to give that passion back into them so that they can be successful.
All right, so we're going to talk our last question here on kind of trend points of the industry. The food industry is exploding right now. It's kind of, we keep hearing the term renaissance, you know, from everything from food on the chef side to great mixology coming in craft cocktails to new trends and innovations happening in operations. So I'm going to pick each of your brains in your, so you're going to get to give me one answer, all right?
That is not fair.
Yeah, you got to get tight. Well, yeah, you got, a week in these deals, so I know you can do it. We'll start off, let's talk about food. Okay. Next step, I'm a great bar or I'm a struggling bar, either way, but I need that next level piece.
The next level piece is what's going to take food to the next level?
Yeah, something that I've got, you know, what are you finding out there that you see can really help a menu master come up with something?
Yeah, of course. Cool. You know, I think what people get stuck in, and I was talking about actually in my session today, is, you know, people become hoarders with both cocktail menus and food menus. You get so attached to your babies, all your favorites.
Can't give up the menu item.
Can't give up the menu item. Then you keep adding and adding and adding, and what you end up doing is accumulating a lot of stuff and it accumulates over pages and pages of things. And what you ultimately start doing is you're making the decisions longer, you're killing yourself on your food and your liquor costs and the supplies that it takes to make all these things. And ultimately, it's just that much more of a difficult position to sell the products that you're trying to sell. Scale down on the things. You got to make it cost effective, and you got to do things that are aesthetically beautiful.
I love it. Chef, you just redesigned an entire menu. So that was good how you did that. Mia, we're going to challenge you. Mixology, you walk in, next trend, the guys got to really look
There is so
for
much happening in the cocktail scene right now. I can't nail it down. I got to give you like a quick checklist of what I see happening, because right now I'm in Los Angeles, and right now LA is going off. Our cocktail scene has taken off, and we are in it to win it. We are competing with New York. We're competing with San Francisco, and we have some very, very talented bartenders in Los Angeles. Right now, what I'm seeing in my bar and with a lot of neighboring bars that I visit on my nights off, we're in Los Angeles. The focus is always health conscious. Right now, people are moving towards cold pressed juices, fresh juices, fresh herbs, what you can obtain from a farmer's market.
Okay.
It's all about health, balance, and freshness. But some new techniques have also crept in that people are really jumping on. Barrel-aged cocktails have been great. Bottled cocktails are fantastic.
Yeah.
Cocktails on tap. Infusions have taken off. So there's so much happening that there's so much technique that it's like all around us. I'm seeking inspiration from all of the bars that I go to because there's so much happening right now.
Interesting. All right, Phil, you're going to close us out here.
Oh no.
Operations. What do you think changes
with
in
operations?
The future? Yeah, something new.
What's important with operations is you have to have some sort of operation. You have to be able to use numbers to your advantage, and you should be able to dissect your business without even being in your business if you're just looking at the black and white of it. So as far as trending things, there's all kinds of stuff out there that technology, everything's at your fingertips now. There's apps that you can go on where you can actually, Chef Nick, we were talking about this, he monitors his whole restaurant from his phone.
Right.
Literally can watch the cameras, can look at inventory control, see who's selling what, see what is selling, and he can make adjustments if he's across the country. That's huge. What I think the problem is that people, again, are stuck in their old ways. And they're not going out and they're not looking out there. I mean, look at where we're at. This is the bar nightclub show. The technology is here. It's all over the place. So I always encourage people, look for new technology. Look for things that are going to simplify your job, but at the very end, generate more profit.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for stopping in on this episode, guys. Thank you out there on another great episode here on Foodable Weekly. Catch us at the Bar and Nightclub, or the Nightclub and Bar Show here in Las Vegas.